Good afternoon. Someone told me once that you can be in Washington but not of Washington, and it's very true. I've worked for 5 members of Congress. I've worked for the President of the United States, and believe you me, the Washington cartel is real. It's very real. I've had the pleasure of winning the Ronald Reagan Award. I've worked on conservative movies and annoyed Hollywood. It's wonderful. I've worked on pro-life projects. I've gotten arrested in front of John Boehner's office for praying. Well, actually, it was incommoding a hallway, but we weren't really incommoding a hallway. I've worked on school choice vouchers and charter school projects. I've been a columnist, a talk show host. I've been a media coach, public relations, crisis communications. In this race, I've been endorsed by Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Dr. James Dobson, Grassroots North Carolina, Operation Rescue's Troy Newman, the Benham Brothers, Elaine Donnelly, Center for Military Readiness, Bob Borg Jr., Ambassador Alan Keyes, Citizens for the Republic, Ronald Reagan's PAC. He did have a PAC. 2 National Tea Party groups, and the list goes on and on. The reason why I'm going to Washington, D.C. is for my children, though. 3 beautiful children. I don't want them saddled with $20 trillion in debt. I don't want my 2 sons, should they go into the military, to go into a social experiment. I don't want my daughter drafted into combat. You know, I told the media the other day something very blunt, and I would like for you to tell me if it was a little too blunt. And I quote, "Warning, liberals should not support me because I will endlessly and consistently disappoint and annoy them. Conservatives and principled Republicans with traditional American values who believe in a strong national defense and real border security, who don't think God is a dirty word, should vote for me. Voters who are sick and tired of political correctness and pro-abortion feminists and gun grabbers and environmentalist wackos and overly sensitive homosexuals and overspending and overregulation and endless taxation should vote for me. Anyone who sees the insanity of burdening our children with trillions of dollars of debt we borrow from the communist Chinese to pay for free schooling and welfare for illegal aliens and sex change operations for the tragically confused should vote for me. Those who think our president, who has shredded the Constitution, done nothing to stop Islamic terrorists, and cravenly betrayed our ally Israel by giving Iran the nuclear bomb, should vote for me. For these good citizens, I will be a shining beacon on the hill amongst a swamp of gutless politicians who care more about getting reelected than saving the republic. I am not going to Washington to make friends, and I probably won't be very well liked because every time some politician or lobbyist comes to me begging money for some special project, I'm going to say, what part of $20 trillion do you not understand? I'm going to fight the cowards in my own Republican Party and the liberals in the Democratic Party and in Republican leadership who surrender to the left far too easily, too often, and in matters that are far too important. I'm going to Washington to kick ass, not kiss ass.
Thank you, Kay.
If that's what you want, find another candidate, because that's exactly what I'm going to give you in Washington. I may not be there very long. Vote for me, and pray for our republic. It is on the edge.
Thank you, Kay Daly. Your question is, you've racked up a lot of national big name endorsements for your campaign, but what do you believe makes you uniquely qualified to be the congressional representative from the 13th district specifically?
The reason why I racked up these big name endorsements is because I've worked with them in the trenches for 30 years. 30 years. When you work with someone against the liberals for 30 years, you get to know them very well. I've actually got family in this district. 2 of them work in the Salisbury VA. I have lots of family throughout this district. I've got a principal in Greensboro who's worked there for years. I've got a brother who's buried in Iredell County. I've got a sister-in-law who still lives there. I've got family throughout this district. I've known this district for a long time. But let me tell you something. The folks who are going to DC have got to be more than campaign conservatives. They've got to be folks who are willing to face down the liberals and face down the Republicans who aren't real Republicans in Washington. This is going to be the key. They've got to have a titanium steel backbone. They've got to be willing to face down anything that gets in their way from being a real conservative. This is going to be the key.